Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is the Leafs Convo podcast for Oak Ridge Ford. I'm Norman London, along with Mr. Mike Augello in Buffalo, New York. We are live on StreamYard, which goes out to YouTube. And then later on today, we'll have it out to the podcast platform of your choice. The Maple Leafs coming off a very workmanlike 2-0 win over the Calgary Flames, ending a 3-game losing streak. Stemming the tide a little bit from a slump. 5 of 6 they had lost before last night's 2-0 win. Spezza and Hyman with the goals. Jack Campbell with the goose egg. Mr. Augello, good morning.
Good morning, Norm. It was a much needed, solid performance on both in all aspects of the game by the Leafs. A 31 save shutout by Jack Campbell. A steady defensive performance. Opportunistic goals by Spezza late in the first period, and then Hyman. Just a really solid overall performance by the Leafs, but I think the focus of everything right now over the last, I'd say, couple weeks since he came back was the goaltending of Freddie Andersen, and last night how Jack Campbell played. And there's a lot of speculation that Jack Campbell will get a run here, or at least get an opportunity to take a run here. And I can't see why not, because he's 4-0. His save percentage, I think, is in the 960s. You ride the hot horse.
So the Leafs have a ton of days off. They'll take on Ottawa on Thursday. If Freddie has some issues, wouldn't this be a good time for him to reset, get back in the net, and then we'll just expect Jack Campbell to offset him over the final 24 games here and there? Or are we thinking this isn't necessarily totally about an injury? This is about the headspace of the incumbent and the play of the guy behind him who is trying to get healthy. Maybe this allows him to get on a run. What do you think the methodology here is?
I mean, as you know, like, the most popular player for any NFL team is the backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. And, in some instances, the most popular player for an NHL team is the backup goaltender if it's somebody who everybody, like Freddie Andersen has not gotten out of the first round in the 4 years he's been here. Has it been on him? No. I've been a proponent of saying it's been the slip shot, pitiful Leaf defense. And it has been that. I mean, he's looked tired in playoff series in the past, but that's because he's facing 30 shots plus a night, and 60, 65, 66 games a year, and then it's expected to go into the playoffs, and it's just not feasible. Since he came back on March the 3rd, I think I did the calculations. They've averaged 27 shots on goal. So it's not a burdensome amount of shots. He's not looked good. Mm-hmm. He's 2-5. His save percentage is in the mid threes. His his goals against is in the mid threes. His save percentage is like 876. He's not playing well. And the game against Calgary on Friday, I'm sorry, the Tanev goal was bad. The first goal went off of Travis Dermott's paraphernalia. But he just didn't look comfortable. And the only way the Leafs, they crawled back from 3-1 to tie 3-3, and then Giordano scores that long goal to on the power play to make it 4-3. And really, this team, any team right now, they need above average goaltending to win, especially in the divisional setup right now where you're playing teams 8, 9, 10 times. You can't have average goaltending. And honestly, Freddie Andersen has been average. If it's because he's injured, then sit him and let him get healthy and, play Jack Campbell. And if Jack Campbell can handle the workload, and then occasionally you play Michael Hutchinson if you absolutely have to. But yeah, I mean, I know Leafs Nation is in favor of giving Jack Campbell the reins, but like I said, I don't buy into that. It's who the best goaltender is, who gives the team the best chance to win, and right now it's Jack Campbell.
OG's Converts, what do you think? We're on StreamYard, YouTube, Johnny, all these years, and I got your voices mixed up with the faces. Well, the handsome voice and the handsome face.
That's me.
Clearly aligned with Mr. Augello. You've sorted it out. Severino, Cudicino, great to see you guys. Jack was great last night, certainly was. So when the Leafs are doing well, we attribute the success to the offense. When they're not doing well and the defense doesn't look totally pear-shaped, we have to point the finger between the pipes. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think it's multidimensional. In this instance, with the statistics as glaring as they are, I think that you have to focus on the goaltending. But like you said before we started recording, their special teams have been brutal. I think their power play is like one for the last 14 or 15. Their penalty killing going into the game yesterday had given up 7 power play goals and 17 opportunities. That's pitiful. Really is. And you can't win. That's like Ricard Valin type penalty killing back from like 2007.
76.1%, good for 21st in the league. So you're not going to win a Stanley Cup sitting at in the bottom third in penalty killing. And who is your best penalty killer? Your goaltender. Look, the Leafs have been struggling, and we're looking for a reason. The Leafs aren't blowing the doors off the opponents that they take on night in and night out offensively. It's because, when you're playing the same teams over and over again, the opponent either cries uncle or digs in and figures out a way to, mitigate disaster. And I think that's what we're seeing in the opponents of late, because these are professionals. They can work strategically. And the Leafs, these teams have found answers to the Leafs. So in limiting offense and the game's getting tighter, you're looking at the goaltender to steal some wins. It's not as if the Leafs goaltending has stolen too many wins of late. Jack Campbell, in a different way, shape, and form, picking up a shutout against Calgary on Saturday night. I will say Freddie Anderson did come to the rescue of Michael Hutchinson, who gave up 2 of the worst goals of the season a few nights ago against Ottawa. Mike, no matter who's in net at any particular time, whether it's Campbell, Hutchinson filling in, Freddie being given the reins, this is going to be a collective. And I don't see either one of those goaltenders going on a George Vezina type of run and leading this team.
No, but to the point, and I've had this discussion with other people regarding Anderson, because other people have been more critical of him than I have been, is his ability to make the big save when it's needed. Now, really, that hasn't been present at much of a time this year. I think he played up until recently. He has played okay, but he started slow as he normally does. Then he got into a groove. Then he got hurt. Then since he came back, he hasn't been as good. So if the injury is a problem, then they have to rectify that. Last night on their Saturday night headlines, Elliot Friedman and Chris Johnston both said the likelihood of them going out and finding a goalie in this market is near impossible. So the goaltending situation is going to be solved by Anderson or Campbell, or it's going to hurt this team when it comes to the playoffs. So yes, I mean, they can play better defensively, and I don't think they had played great defensively over the last couple weeks, but not up to par to what they had done earlier in the year. But that's when a goaltender sort of needs to step up. And special teams wise, I think the calculation has always been that your penalty killing and power play percentage have to be over 100 for them to be considered good. I mean, the Leafs power play was operating at a 30 to 40% clip early in the year, and the penalty killing was pretty decent. Now the penalty killing has struggled, and the power play, the other teams have sort of neutralized both units. So really, I think they have to go to work. And now in the next 3 or 4 days, they have practice time. They used that this week to sort of get things straightened out. And I think they played better in the 2 games against Calgary than they had against Winnipeg. But really, it's just an evolving season and a roller coaster with a lot of teams, and they're going to have to just fight through the tough part and get to the good part.
If the Leafs are a true contender that have a legitimate opportunity to win the Stanley Cup, not excel in the first round and then get through to the second round and everybody's, breaking out of their COVID coma to party on Bay. You can't have a roster that is contentious. You can't be concerned that the defense is going to combust or that the offense is not consistent enough or your goaltender is all world 1 minute and a beer leaguer the next. There can't be contentiousness surrounding the team, and there isn't any acrimony right now, Mike. It's not an abundance of fear, but there's still concern regarding Freddie Anderson and Jack Campbell all of a sudden coming to the rescue. We don't even know if Campbell can stay healthy. We don't even know if this guy can go 10-0 in 10 straight games and play, wonderfully and involve his career personally. There are a lot of unknowns in that regard, other than, hey, he's 4-0. He looks good. Freddie doesn't seem like he's, playing as well as he has in the past. Let's just put him in there. There's still a lot of unknowns here, and that is concerning in that the Leafs have to have all hands on deck, and there has to be a real comfort surrounding the group. Overall, it's not bad, but there are still a few elements missing. And if we're concerned about the goaltending situation at this juncture, maybe we should step off the gas a little bit, pull off the gas, and kind of assess the landscape a little more before we go on and anoint the Leafs legitimate contenders. Just thinking out loud.
Well, I think, okay, first of all, I think both Anderson and Campbell have support from their teammates. I think they're both well liked in the locker room. I think you can tell that there's a level of frustration. Anderson is never going to be like a really effusive, emotional guy in media, especially in media availabilities. He's fairly just mundane and sort of goes through it, but he's a pleasant guy. But I've noticed over the last couple media availabilities, him being a little more short questions, answers is, I don't know what you want me to tell you, or like just a sort of on edge. Maybe there's an inner frustration there because of the injury. And Jack Campbell, I mean, my God, even somebody who's happy-go-lucky would seem depressed compared to Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is the most positive guy in the world. You can tell that that team really likes him. You see him tapping players on the fanny with his stick or winking at players or whatever. They like him. That positivity is infectious, and
that emotion can go sour when things go wrong, and that emotion can be used to his advantage too, Mike.
Sure. And the thing is that I don't perceive there being any kind of like internal strife with this team where, okay, we can't go with James Reimer, we got to go with Jonathan Bernier, or you know what I'm saying. I don't think there's a goaltender battle right now, but I do think that Sheldon Keefe is loyal to the player who's playing the best. And if all of a sudden, Freddie Anderson is out for a couple weeks and Jack Campbell wins 3, 4, 5 games in a row, he's sticking with Jack Campbell. I mean, you'd be stupid not to. Now, once Campbell loses a game, then, you go back to Anderson. And if Anderson can't carry the ball, then you go back to Campbell again. But you're loyal to who wins you games.
Yeah, at this point, Joe Shedler in the chat thinking Freddie only played his last starts because Jack was out. I say rest him. Give Campbell a few starts. Akinzeki, hopefully they give Campbell a chance to prove himself. I'm sure, why not? Let's see what he can do. Can he string together a run of games where he's completely healthy and he looks great and he backstops the team and gets – look, Mike, no matter what, no matter who's playing between the pipes, the Leafs and their recent skid have dropped themselves back into the pack. Okay, they still have a shot right now statistically to, if they just play decent hockey, to win the Scotia North. But the rest of the league is caught up to them in points, goals for. The Leafs may be the 10th, 11th, 12th best team in the league cumulatively when all is said and done. So can Jack Campbell get in, be healthy, and maybe catapult this team back into that elite status among the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the league? At Akinzeki, Simmons will keep it rolling. He was awesome when Hyman scored last night, and Simmons' reaction on the bench totally fired them up. I wanted to talk about Zach Hyman. I mean, 11 goals, 9 assists, 20 points in 32 games. we talk about this guy as just a complete dynamo, total effort all the time. And, there are the fans who believe in, nothing but the eliteness of players. And Hyman doesn't qualify for some reason. But if you poll 31 coaches and ask them, hey, who, would you want a guy like Zach Hyman on your team playing an integral role, whether the second, third lines, they would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any Leaf fan out there who doesn't admire the way Hyman plays. I mean, he hustles. He's good two-way. I mean, early in his career, nobody thought he would score 10 goals. They thought he would just be like sort of a workman-like third, fourth liner. And then he was and then everybody was complaining about Babcock putting Hyman with Matthews. And he has grown into a very effective offensive player because he hustles as much on the offensive end to win puck battles along the boards than he does at the defensive end defending. And the goal yesterday, it was a setup with Galchenyuk and Tavares getting the puck to Hyman, and then Hyman doing the wraparound. And he's averaged 21 goals, and he did it in less games last year. And then this year, he's probably going to, if he scores 20, it'll be in 56 games. He's going to get paid. I think he's going to get paid by the Leafs, and it's going to be up to Kyle Dubas to, sort of wrangle the cap ramifications of that. Because if he makes, I would say, 4.5 million a year, then more than likely you're saying goodbye to either Alex Kerfoot or William Nylander. And I think it'll be, as I've said for 2 or 3 years, I think it'll be Nylander, not because Nylander's not good, but because they've got to pay.
Qualify it, Mike. Qualify it. You've got to qualify it. You're not allowed to say anything about this particular player without qualifying it.
They've got to pay Morgan Riley after next year, and they've got to pay Hyman this year. And, depending on what they decide on Anderson, if they decide they're going to move on from Freddie Anderson, then they're going to have to pay another goaltender or trade for a goaltender who makes a little less than $5 million. But they're going to have to move things around, and the cap is not going up. So that is the reality. They are if the cap was going up, then they wouldn't be forced into this decision. But Hyman is somebody, I think he's more important to this team than William Nylander is.
Do you think because of this expected volatility in the boardroom in the offseason with contracts and players who may have to be shipped out, unfortunately, in order to free up money to retain players, this is why Kyle Dubas thinks that this year is a go-for-it year, despite the issues that his number one goaltender is having right now?
I think it's somewhat that. I also think because, you've got a number of players on this roster in Simmons and Spezza and Thornton that you don't know if they're going to be back again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Spezza will sign a $700,000 contract until he can't skate anymore. And God willing, because the guy is he's amazing.
Hey, we're old fogies, Mike. We like the old fogies.
Yeah, and even though Thornton's play has dropped a little bit, I still think he provides something. I think when it comes to the playoffs, I think he'll come through. And Simmons provides that physical aspect. And he's not having a fantastic year, but he's having a good enough year that I would want to bring him back. But you don't know whether these players or Bogosian or whoever are going to be back. So right now you have to think. And we said at the beginning of the year, Norm, more than likely that Dubas was going to have to make a decision on Nylander after this year. Mm-hmm. And with everything that we see now, I think it's still going to be after the season. Can you pay 4 forwards $40 million?
Yeah.
And I don't think you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you have players like Tavares who are making $11 million, and he makes players around him better. Well, he's going to have to make somebody else better because they can't afford a $7 million winger.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford, Norman, London, Mike in Buffalo. Real quick. I'm here. So these are the hoodies that have been produced by our friends at Talbot.
Now I like the one you're wearing, the dark blue one.
Yeah, this is the first one. I have the maroon, blue. green. I got a bunch of Leafs Convo stuff. But our friends at Talbot locally produced those hoodies for us. I've already sent 5 out. I've got a handful left, mostly large. There's a bunch that are already spoken for, and I'm going to get those to you. I'm just really busy, and I've got to get over to the mail depot. You can get your hands on one, $45. That includes shipping. Guys, I'm not trying to be condescending. There is no money being made. We're actually, like, all honesty, we're paying you to take them. What I want to do is get them out there. I want to get the OGs and converts repping the Convo with a real quality hoodie.
And take a picture of it, and we can post it on our feed.
For sure. So the Leafs Convo at gmail.com. Let me know if you're large for sure. I don't have any mediums or smalls left. If you want one, just let me know. Send me an e-transfer or a PayPal, and I will activate that once I have shipped your hoodie. This is just to get these this merchandise out to you guys so you can rep us even more than you do. We appreciate it. I'm going to hold a few back for prizes, and I'm really looking forward to it. The comments are blowing up right now.
Well, let me
go for it.
Mention this because it's only a 2-game window, but the move, and I didn't like the fact that the Leafs traded Korshkov in the deal, but Alex Galchenyuk in 2 games, and let's just say this:
got an assist last night.
I think he's been hustling. He's been playing pretty well.
He's been
really. Awesome. Well, I mean, there have been criticisms of him that there wasn't a motor there.
He laced up his skates.
I have to say though, it's like he's at a point in his career. I think he's played with 5 teams in 2 years where it's either shit or get off the pot. It's like you have to show that you're wanting to be in this league and that and we know he's talented. And I think, and a lot of people were saying the Leafs are doing this the right way. They sent him down to the Marlies, let him get his confidence back, and they've put him in a top 6 offensive role with Tavares and Nylander. Mm-hmm. And instead of putting him on the 4th line, that's not going to do anything. And he's played up to that. So I'm not saying that that's going to prevent them from going out at the deadline and making an acquisition for a forward. I think they probably will. But as we've seen in terms of players moving up and down the lineup, Galchenyuk so far has accounted himself pretty well, and I think that he will be in the mix. Like Jimmy Vesey was in the mix at the beginning of the season, but Jimmy Vesey clearly couldn't play in a top 6 role, and I think they wanted to keep him around, but they couldn't afford well, first of all, $900,000 is a cheap contract, and there are teams out there that claim Vancouver claimed him because they probably could play him in a top 9 role, and the Leafs wanted to get him down to the taxi squad, so I think they wanted to keep him. But I think Galchenyuk sort of fits more what they were looking for out of VC, and we'll see how well it goes, continuing forward.
Silent Night. I'm 6'5". Do you have a 4 large times 4? I think I have a triple extra large, so we can talk about that. Disco Dick, give Kerfoot's money to Hyman.
I see, and that's the calculation. Okay, Zach Hyman's making, I think it's 2.25 this year, which is one of the best contracts in hockey. Mm-hmm. And that's, you have to give Kyle Dubas credit for that. I'm just looking this up as we're talking here. Yes, 2.25. I was right. Okay, so he's making 2.25. If he doubles his salary, he's making 4.5. Kerfoot is making 3.5. So basically, we could say, okay, that money is going to the Kerfoot money is going to Hyman, and then maybe Nick Robertson comes in, and net you're paying less for 2 players. Mm-hmm. That's possible, or a veteran player who takes a minimum deal like we've seen. That's possible. But that doesn't factor in Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley's making $5 million this year. Morgan Riley after next year is probably...
Is he worth it?
What? Morgan?
Is he the Leafs? Is he a Leaf from start to finish?
Well, let's just say this: there will be such a gap if they lose Morgan Riley that he's. I mean, I'm not saying pay him,
but who would you replace him with, too? Right.
I'm hopeful Rasmus Sandin is going to be a good NHL defenseman in a couple years, but could they luck out and draft a guy who was, I think, drafted 29th in the first round, and have him be as good as a guy who was a top 5 pick and who
if Rasmus Sandin was the next Nick Lidstrom, he would have already had 2 full years under his belt right now. I don't like.
I think that they're, and this is the thing I appreciate about the Leaf organization right now. They don't want to rush young kids into situations they can't handle. How many times have we heard over Leaf history? Jim Benning,
Luke Shen.
Luke Shen, Gary Nyland. I mean, how many of these guys, very, very few of them, Al Iafrate, very few of them. Wendell Clark is one of the few who was moved into the NHL at age 18 or 19 and could handle it. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner could do it because
those are franchise type players. I'm not disparaging Rasmus in any way. I'm just saying, is he a franchise defenseman? Is he a guy like a Morgan Riley who will eat up 25 minutes a night, play, offensively, physically, all kinds of stuff like that? He might be a top pairing.
He could be down the line. I mean, but the thing is, it's like you're not going to throw a 20-year-old kid into a 20-minute a night scenario. That's why, I mean,
they don't need to right now either, Mike.
No, but Morgan Riley after next year, I think will be 28. Yeah, 28 or 29. He's in the prime of his career. He can skate like the wind. He's really good offensively. He's not a great power play quarterback because he doesn't have a big shot, but he eats minutes. He's efficient defensively. You cannot, lose those guys. Now, if he's looking for $9-10 million a year, then he's going to be gone. If he's asking for 8.5, then I would pay him.
Yeah. So a lot of these things are going to be important down the line. Yeah. What's important right now is over the next 4 days, the Leafs get their shit together and get on a bit of a run. And if it's Jack Campbell, who is urging them on from between the pipes for, 3-4 games in a row, then so be it. But Freddie Anderson will have to, summon Ken Dryden or Johnny Bauer in some way at some point to be the focal point in net for the Maple Leafs if they're going to win a Stanley Cup. I just don't see Jack Campbell being that guy. It's not Freddie or bust. It's Freddie and the rest. I just want to get to a few more comments through StreamYard before we go. My phone is going to die, so blame me for this for ending this rather abruptly. Tony Bazzelli, Luke Richardson was rushed as well. Yes, for sure. Scott Whitby, CJ said last night on the broadcast that he's heard the Leafs connected with a couple of D-men. Any idea who they are? Real quick, Mike.
I would guess they would be right-handed defensemen. I can't imagine they were willing to pay the price that Nashville is looking for Ekholm. I think they're looking more for depth. If they could get Brandon Montour from the Sabres and it wouldn't cost them a ton, then that might be somebody they go for. But again, it's fitting that player under the cap. I would think it would be more cheaper defensemen, like maybe Sami Vatanen from New Jersey, who, if they retain salary, is $1 million defenseman. I still think, though, that it's going to be the forward that they're going to go after. I think that they're going to, Columbus apparently is still in the race, so maybe David Savard and Nick Foligno are not going to get traded. I really hope they find somebody other than Michael Granlund, because I just don't think he's a good fit, but they seem to like him. So I would like Eric Stahl, even though he's an older player. I've still said I think that would be a good fit. But if possible, they'll go for both. But cap ramifications, I don't know if it's possible.
A lot to figure out over the next little while. We're excited because the Leafs are in position to position themselves even better positionally to become a legitimate contender for the Stanley Cup. Are they there right now? It doesn't feel like it. Were they there a couple of weeks ago? It felt like it then. things are evolving. Let's hope they don't get worse. Let's hope they get better. OG's Converse, thank you very much for joining us for this live stream. This is historical. We've done, 400 podcasts, Mike, going way back over the last 3 seasons, probably over nearly 1,000 going back 10 years. This is the first time we've done a live stream. Kind of brings it back to the old radio days, but with our beautiful faces front and center. Will85, Matthew Lytle, and Erish in community on YouTube. We haven't forgotten about you. Thank you very much for your contributions. The Leafs Convo at gmail.com to get your hands on one of these Convo hoodies, not the dark one. That's mine exclusively, but maybe we'll make some in the future. We'll see how well these go. Other than that, Mike, you do great work at hockeybuzz.com. You can follow me, guys, at Facebook, Norman Oakridge Ford. Shoot me a like. And that's about that. Enjoy your Sunday, my friend.
Thanks, Norm.